2 feet of snow, 3 inches of ice, and temperatures 40 degrees below normal. This weekend storm could be the biggest the Deep South has seen in over a decade. Every major weather model is in complete agreement on this one, which is rare this far out. And what they're showing is absolutely massive in scale. We're looking at winter storm watches already in effect for millions of people from Oklahoma and Dallas all the way through Arkansas and into the Carolinas. This storm has the potential to bring catastrophic ice accumulations across the Deep South while dumping over a foot of snow from Texas to Virginia. What makes this setup particularly dangerous is the combination of extreme Arctic cold, Gulf moisture, and a system that's going to move incredibly slowly. Before we break down the city-by-city forecast and timing, drop your location in the comments right now so I can give you specific updates as this develops. I'm going to walk you through exactly when this arrives, which areas are in the bullseye for snow versus ice, and what you need to know to stay safe. So here's what's happening, and honestly, this is one of the most significant winter storm setups we've seen targeting the South in recent memory. The setup starts with an absolutely brutal Arctic blast diving south from Canada, bringing the coldest air of the winter season by far. We're talking about wind chills dropping to 50 to 60 degrees below zero across the northern plains and upper Midwest by Friday morning. At the same time, the subtropical jet is activating for really the first time this winter season and scooping up massive East Pacific moisture. When that moisture collides with the entrenched Arctic air across the South, we get the recipe for a historic winter storm this weekend. Now let me walk you through the timeline day by day, because understanding when this hits your area is absolutely critical for preparation. Wednesday and Thursday are going to be quiet in terms of major precipitation, but this is when the Arctic air really starts pouring south. We'll see some clipper systems bringing light snow to the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, maybe 1 to 3 inches of fluffy snow in Chicago and Milwaukee. Lake effect snow is also going to be cranking across the Great Lakes region, with some areas potentially seeing 2 feet by Friday from lake effect alone. But the real story begins Friday afternoon, when our major winter storm starts to take shape across the southern plains. By Friday midday, we start seeing heavy snow breaking out across the Texas Panhandle around Amarillo and Lubbock. At the same time, freezing drizzle and freezing rain begin across North Texas, southern Oklahoma, and southern Arkansas. Friday evening is when things really intensify, with moderate to heavy snow spreading across Oklahoma, Kansas, and northern Arkansas. Oklahoma City, you're looking at snow beginning Friday evening and continuing through Saturday morning, with potential for 6 to 12 inches of accumulation. Tulsa faces a similar situation with heavy snow likely, and you'll want to avoid any travel Friday night into Saturday if at all possible. Wichita, Kansas is in the zone for significant snow as well, potentially 6 to 10 inches with this system as it slowly grinds eastward. Little Rock, Arkansas, you're looking at one of the most significant winter weather events in years, with 6 to 8 inches of snow possible. Now here's where things get really concerning. The ice situation across the Deep South is looking potentially catastrophic. Dallas-Fort Worth, you're right in the bullseye for significant freezing rain beginning Friday evening and continuing into Saturday. Current models are showing ice accumulations of 1/4 to 1/2 inch across the Metroplex, which would cause widespread power outages. Tyler, Texas, and College Station are also looking at significant ice accumulations that could down power lines and make travel impossible. Shreveport and Monroe, Louisiana, you're in the same boat, with potentially 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice coating everything. Jackson, Mississippi could see one of the worst ice storms in years, and this is coming from someone who lived through the 2021 ice storm. Baton Rouge and Lafayette are on the southern edge, but could still see significant icing, especially north of I-10. Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, Alabama are looking at a dangerous mix of snow and ice beginning Saturday morning. Montgomery, Alabama sits right in that transition zone where the exact track of the storm makes all the difference between snow and ice. Now let's talk about the areas that could see the heaviest snow totals, because this is where things get absolutely impressive. By Saturday morning, heavy snow spreads across Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky, with accumulations ramping up quickly. Springfield and Branson, Missouri could see significant snow, potentially 6 to 10 inches, depending on the exact track. Memphis, Tennessee is looking at heavy snow Saturday into Sunday, with potential for 6 to 12 inches across the metro area. Nashville, you're right in the sweet spot for this system, with models showing 6 to 12 inches of snow Saturday through Sunday. Knoxville and the Smoky Mountains, including Gatlinburg, could see even higher totals, potentially over a foot in the higher elevations. Lexington and Pikeville in eastern Kentucky are looking at significant snow as well, with 6 to 12 inches very possible. Louisville, Kentucky sits on that northern edge where you could see heavy snow or you could see more of a wintry mix depending on temperatures. Saturday night into Sunday is when the storm reaches the mid-Atlantic, and this is where some of the high snow totals could set up. Richmond, Virginia is looking at potentially 12 to 18 inches of snow, which would be one of the biggest storms in years for the area. Roanoke and Lynchburg in central Virginia could see even higher totals, with isolated 2-foot amounts not out of the question in the mountains. Virginia Beach and Norfolk are on that tricky eastern edge where the exact storm track determines whether you see snow or a wintry mix. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore are both looking at significant snow, potentially 8 to 12 inches or more depending on the track. Atlantic City and southern New Jersey could see impressive totals as well, with 12 to 18 inches possible if this track verifies. Now let's shift over to the Carolinas, because this is where we have both a major snow threat and a significant ice threat. Charlotte, North Carolina sits right in that transition zone where you could see heavy snow or you could see more ice depending on temperatures. Raleigh and Greensboro are looking at significant winter weather Saturday night into Sunday, with heavy snow the primary threat. Charleston and Columbia, South Carolina are in the zone for potentially crippling ice accumulations, possibly 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch. Myrtle Beach is on that coastal edge where the exact track makes all the difference between rain, snow, or ice. Atlanta is on the southern periphery of this storm, but northern suburbs could still see a mix of snow and ice Saturday. Savannah, Georgia is likely too far south for significant winter weather, but you'll still see temperatures plummet behind this system. All right, so now let me explain why the models are showing such massive snow totals and such concerning ice accumulations. The key factor here is that this system is going to be incredibly slow moving, which means prolonged precipitation over the same areas. When you have a winter storm that stalls out, snow and ice just keep piling up hour after hour with no relief. An Arctic high-pressure system over the northern plains is going to hold everything to the south and prevent this storm from racing out to sea. This is why we're seeing model runs show 1 to 2 inches of total precipitation, which in snow terms means over a foot in many areas. The European model is showing absolutely gargantuan snow totals from the Four Corner states through the plains and into the mid-Atlantic. Areas in pink on the European model are looking at a foot or more, and the pastel blue areas could potentially see multiple feet. The GFS model is similar, but actually shows a thinner band of heavier snow that's even more intense in spots. Some areas along the Appalachian Mountains and near the Virginia-North Carolina border could see 2 feet with the GFS solution. The Canadian model is showing a slightly more northern track, which would bring heavier snow into Missouri, southern Illinois, and Ohio. If that northern trend continues, cities like St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati could get into the action with significant snow. The national blend of models, which averages all the different models together, shows very heavy, plowable snow across a massive area. Now let's talk about the ice, because this is honestly the most concerning aspect of this entire storm system. The European model is showing 1 to 2 inches of ice accumulation in the darker shades across parts of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi. Some areas could potentially see 3 or more inches of freezing rain, which would be absolutely catastrophic for power infrastructure. We're talking about widespread power outages that could last for days or even over a week in the hardest hit areas. Ice accumulation of just 1/4 inch is enough to snap tree branches and bring down power lines across untreated southern roads. Half an inch of ice is devastating, and anything over an inch would basically shut down the entire region for an extended period. The reason we see ice instead of snow in these southern areas is because of something meteorologists call a warm nose. Surface temperatures are below freezing, but there's a warm layer aloft that melts the snow into rain as it falls through the atmosphere. That rain then refreezes when it hits the cold surface, creating that coating of ice on everything: roads, trees, power lines. For areas like Dallas, Shreveport, Jackson, and Columbia, this ice threat is very real and needs to be taken extremely seriously. Now let's talk about what happens after the storm, because the bitter cold that follows is going to be just as significant. Behind this system, the polar vortex goes to work chilling the air, and we're looking at the coldest temperatures of the winter season hands down. Temperature anomalies could be 25 to 35 degrees below normal across a massive area, with some spots 40 degrees below normal. This extreme cold is going to persist through the end of January, and areas with deep snowpack will stay even colder longer. Friday morning wind chills could hit 50 to 60 below zero across North Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. That's life-threatening cold. Sub-zero wind chills Friday morning extend all the way down into Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Saturday morning, we could see wind chills below zero all the way down into North Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. By Sunday morning, sub-zero wind chills potentially reach as far south as central Texas, including the San Antonio and Austin areas. The freezing line extends all the way to the Gulf Coast by the end of the weekend, with only southern Florida staying above freezing. This prolonged cold, combined with any ice or snow on the ground, creates a really dangerous situation for burst pipes and extended power outages. Now I want to talk about the track uncertainty, because small shifts in the storm's path make a massive difference in who sees what. Right now, there's a question about whether this low pressure system will slide more horizontally offshore or climb more vertically up the coast. A horizontal path would keep the heaviest snow across Virginia and the Carolinas, with mixing issues closer to the coast. A vertical path would bring heavier snow into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and potentially southern New England. The European model is currently showing that more vertical look, which would bring significant snow to the I-95 corridor from DC to New York. I'm a little skeptical of that solution because we have such a strong high-pressure system to the north blocking northward movement. The flow pattern suggests the easier path is horizontal rather than vertical, but we'll have to watch how this evolves over the next 48 hours. For coastal areas, if you want maximum snowfall instead of mixing or freezing rain, you actually want the low a little further offshore. The bullseye of heaviest snow is typically just outside the area with mixing, so track adjustments of even 50 miles make a huge difference. That's why it's so important to keep checking back for updates, because these details will continue to be refined as we get closer to the event. All right, so what should you be doing right now to prepare for this major winter storm? Start preparing today, not Friday morning. Stock up on essential supplies in case you lose power: flashlights, batteries, non-perishable food, bottled water, and any medications. Charge all your devices and have backup power options ready, because widespread power outages are very possible with this ice threat. Make sure you have multiple ways to stay warm if the power goes out: extra blankets, sleeping bags, and safe alternative heat sources. Never use generators indoors or burn anything inside for heat, as carbon monoxide poisoning is a real danger during winter storm. Avoid all travel Friday through Sunday if at all possible, especially in areas under winter storm watches or warnings. If you absolutely must travel, have a complete winter emergency kit in your car with blankets, food, water, and a fully charged phone. Check on elderly neighbors and anyone who might need help preparing or who might need a place to stay if they lose power. Bring all pets inside and make sure you have enough food and supplies for them to last through the weekend and into early next week. Protect your pipes by letting faucets drip when temperatures drop below freezing, and insulate any exposed pipes you have access to. Fill up your gas tank today, both for your car and for any generators, because gas stations could lose power or run out during the storm. Now let me talk about what comes after this storm, because believe it or not, this might not be the only major winter weather event. Looking at the extended forecast, we remain in a very active winter pattern through the end of January and into early February. After this major system moves out, we get another clipper that brings more snow to the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast early next week. Models are showing another potential major system in the final days of January into early February, which could bring more widespread snow. The pattern we've entered is one of the most favorable for widespread winter weather in years, with cold air locked in place across the east. February is looking cold and potentially very snowy as well, with below normal temperatures likely across most of the eastern 2/3 of the country. Week by week through February, it looks like we'll start warm and then trend colder as we go deeper into the month. This could bring the snow line farther south again in February, potentially setting up for more significant winter weather across the south. So if you're in an area that rarely sees snow and ice, this winter season is definitely making up for lost time in a big way. This storm has the genuine potential to be a winter storm of the decade for many areas across the deep south and mid-Atlantic. I'll be tracking this closely and providing multiple updates as model data continues to come in and as the storm gets closer. Details will absolutely shift and change over the next couple days, but the overall signal for a major winter storm is extremely strong. Make sure you drop your city or region in the comments if you haven't already, and I'll do my best to give you more specific updates. If you found this forecast helpful, hit that like button and share it with anyone you know in the affected areas from Texas to Virginia. The bottom line is this: we're looking at a potentially historic winter storm that could bring feet of snow and catastrophic ice. Over 30 major cities from Oklahoma City to Richmond are all in the danger zone for significant winter weather impacts this weekend. Whether you see heavy snow, crippling ice, or a combination of both, this is going to be a multi-day event with serious widespread impacts. Start your preparation today so you're not scrambling Friday when everyone else is panicking and stores are running out of supplies. Stay safe, stay warm, and take this storm seriously. Winter storms of this magnitude don't come along very often for the Deep South. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next update on this major winter storm.